Okay, guys. I just finished cleaning. I'm continuing with the parts restoration. And I just finished cleaning all these bolts on the bench grinder. Cold as hell in here, but I turned the little heater. I think it ran out of gas already. And these are all the bolts, the miscellaneous. As you can see, they're like new. I clean every one, run it through the brush here, clean all the threads, clean everything, and then I'm gonna paint them. I still gotta clean the exhaust manifold bolts, and I gotta clean the elbows screws. And now I am removing this temporary plug that I put here because I couldn't find this is a plug. It doesn't have any, the piping is right in there. So this is just a plug to drain the tank, I imagine. And this one takes a very fine sink. The sink on this one is, let me see, it's down here. I already took it out, and it's in good shape because I replaced it at the end of last year, and this engine hasn't really been running. So I'm gonna remove this because tomorrow I'm gonna go to the boat, and I'm gonna take this tank so I can match, because they have all kinds of little things, and I can put it on the threading and try it, and it goes in here about an inch and a half or so, or maybe 2 inches of sink. So that goes into my little brass drawer. So I'm going to replace the cap, and let me see what size. And I already cleaned it as good as I could. I was going to start painting this tank today, but not with the weather we're having. It's cold, it's drizzly, and I don't want to paint inside. Maybe I should buy new ones for this here because these are originals. But as long as they seal. And this tank, I went to see one online. It's over 650 bucks. So I said, no, I better work on this one and get it in good working order. Okay, and then I can, if there's any water leakage on the bolt, then I can do a little more retightening. All right. Put that away here. Okay. I'm not going to install the hose just yet because I want to be able to paint it without painting the hose. So, I'm going to keep it here with the clamp. And it took me about an hour to go through this. There's a lot of miscellaneous. So, okay, I'm done with that. Let me go get some coffee later. What's the matter, Papa? What's the matter? He's wondering where I've been. I went to the garage and I left him in here. You don't want to be in the garage, it's too cold. Let's smoke a new cigar from a familiar company. This is the Padron Family Reserve 1964. I saw a review on this one, and I said, well, I've had Padrons before. They kind of have a tendency to bite. But this one, oh, the thing just fell off. This one is a different shape. It's a little boxy. It's not round at all. So it kind of caught my eye when I was looking at the reviews. This is one that they recommend for for coffee, and I said, okay, I'm having it. So let's see how it goes. I have a reputation from having an excellent nose. When my wife is about to start preparing to cook, she brings stuff out of the refrigerator and she says, this has been in the fridge for a week. Smell it. See if it's any good. I take a whiff and I said, it smells fine. Nothing wrong. And then she goes and cook it, because her nose is bad. She got excellent ears. I mean, she can hear an ant walk. She can hear through noise and everything, but I can't. But the smell, that's my department. And well, we'll see. I'm picking it up now. Okay, let's see how it goes. Man, I'm filthy. I'm doing. Well, we had another rainstorm. Yesterday was very heavy. And it was windy. Then the wind died. And this is weird. The wind died. And my dog is already telling me that he wants food. So I went and prepared it. And I'm walking with the bowl towards the back door. And I hear this noise. And I'm going. And I look at the yard, look at the patio. The patio umbrella just went off and it flipped over and landed on the ground. So immediately I looked at the bushes and the trees. There was no wind. And I looked at the mandarin tree right behind it and there was no wind. And I said, what the hell blew this thing off? It just went. Whoa. So, I picked it up, obviously, put it back on, and then I closed it because I should have done that from the beginning when they were saying there was going to be a windy storm. But tomorrow and Sunday, it's going to be sunny days. So that's where I'm going to the boat. And that's why I'm getting all this stuff prepared. I'm going to put all those nuts and bolts on a cardboard and prime them and paint them. I'm going to prime a couple of times. And then I'm going to take off to Long Beach. And then when I come back, I'm going to start painting. And that's where I'm going to give them a lot of coats, including the tank. The little heat exchanger is expensive as hell. But it's all copper. It's good. Heavy too. That thing is about, I don't know, 20 pounds. Maybe I should put it on the scales. Well, I have to make a hard decision. I got a hunter that visits my channel, goes hunting to the same places I go. And he communicated to me that he's interested in my semi-auto 7mm Magnum. And the decision that I have to make is, am I going to really sell it? Or should I? Because I have a lot of ammo also. And that's not going to be a cheap gun. If you want to buy it, it's an excellent prime condition. I mean, I've taken care of that gun like a baby. And I think I've taken it hunting once. That was supposed to be a Utah hunt. I never did go back. And I protected with a chaff and everything. So I got to sell the ammo with the gun. Because what am I going to do with 13, 14, 15? And I got some more ammo that I have to load. If you want to buy the gun with the ammo, we're going to talk money. It's a classic, smooth, it's good shooting. It's just that it's not a backpacking gun to me, for me. Some other guys could carry it. If you have a bigger frame, you can carry that gun and go, man, you see a deer across another hill and you can pop it. No problem. You can kill a bear with it. It all has to do with the ammo. It's the old-fashioned Browning, which they're excellent. To me, Browning, it's the best, has made the best semi-auto around. I almost bought an what was it? H&H. And when I picked it up, I noticed the weight. I'm going, whoa, it's heavier than that gun. And I said to the guy, how heavy is this gun? He goes, 11 pounds. And I said, 11? He goes, yeah, I don't think you're going to be hauling that up a mountain. And he killed it right there because it's true. If you're going to be doing mountain hunting, which that's what I've done all these years, this one is 9 pounds, which is not bad because the 270 is 8 and the 308s are 7.5 each. So that's the heaviest one. The Weatherby, being that I've never hunted with it, I haven't really weighed it. The Weatherby is not lightweight. But the other day I got a rag and I wiped it down with a little bit of stock oil, and ooh, that thing shines like a jewel. It shines like a jewel. It's that I don't have time to go shoot anything. You know, I have a habit that when I'm doing something, I don't pay attention to anything else. If I have a project like what happened with the fires, that I saw those houses being burnt down to the ground, having swimming pools and everything. I didn't go and build a swimming pool, but I went and built a fire protection system for the house, and that took some time, And I did it by myself. I'm climbing up on the roof. I'm going up on the eaves. We're very, very high. I had to borrow a 16-foot ladder, and you're looking down. I'm going, whoa. Yeah, I think I suffered from vertigo because I was going like, I don't want to look down. 16 feet, it doesn't seem high, but when you're up there. But I did it. So I neglected the boat. I neglected the truck. I didn't pay attention to anything. And I finished with that. And I tested it. It runs. I still got to do a little on the adjustments on the sprinklers. But I'm going to do that when it's not raining. And I'm going to do it when she can hold the ladder and, I can go up there. But then I started working on the engine, and when I'm working on the engine, I'm not paying attention to anything else. The truck's gonna have to wait. Even though there's some people asking me, hey, when are you gonna fix your truck? Well, that's gonna have to wait. I gotta get that boat running. Okay. Once the boat is done, I'm gonna take care of the truck. And then I wanna do a pig hunt. I might even invite this guy that he say he's local. I don't know if you saw the story. That gun, it impressed the hell out of me. When I went to the range, there was a guy next to me shooting the same gun with the same ammo. And I took a couple of shots, and I was dead on at 200 yards with a gun that I never touched before. That impressed the hell out of me. And I went straight down to the store nearby where I lived. And they had one, same caliber, and I bought it. And I put it on layaway and everything. Then in a month's time, I paid it off. And I didn't even pay attention to the weight of the gun because it was so impressive the way it shot. Okay. And it didn't have the barrel stabilizer. It didn't have the Mark porting. It didn't have none of that. This one has it. And this one shoots better. I mean, it's all about the load. You get the right load, the right bullet, because I don't want a gun that's going to jump off my hands. I want the gun to shoot accurately, to shoot comfortably, and to have range. And I go into the formulas in my books, and I tweak it. I have a little system that I do. I formulate my own thing. And when I pull the trigger on that gun, I've demonstrated, and a couple of times I went with a 308. I was aiming. I don't have any targets here. I was aiming at the little corner. When you have the diamond on the sides, and you have the big target in the center, and you have the little diamonds. When I finished synchronizing the scope to the center, and then I said, okay, I'm going to start hitting the diamonds. And I wasn't aiming at the center of the diamond. I was aiming at the tip. So let's say this is the diamond. I was aiming there, right there on that little tip, and I was hitting it. It's all about the load. Now, if you're shooting from store box, that machines put out, even though now the companies are doing very good loads, very good production. They run the machines and then they test to see if it's accurate, you know. And then you can see if you're gonna be good with that gun or not, because there's some rifles that they don't like a certain bullet. You can shoot well with a Federal, and then you're gonna shoot Remington. It's not gonna shoot good for for some weird reason. The old timers, they learn the hard way. And when I say the old timers, I mean my old friends that they were hunting fanatics. I'm talking fanatics. Those guys will talk about hunting every time they met. They will meet at this butcher's house. Wow, the flavors coming through and it's very nice. They would meet at this guy that there were two guys that were butchers, and they would sit there and sharpen their knives and talk about the trip and talk about what they need and talk about this and that. And one day I went to visit, and there were about 7 guys there, and there were some in the kitchen, there was some in the living room having a beer, and they were talking about this. And one of the butchers say, "Ray, you have a knife?" And I go say, "Yeah." He goes, "Let me have it." So I gave him a hunting knife, and he sharpened it right there in front of me. When he finished, he went like this and he shaved his arm with the blade. And I looked at him going, "What the hell? You can actually shave with this thing." So I did it on my own arm, and it shaved the hairs off. Those guys knew how to sharpen knives. They're butchers. So one time they were talking around the table and they said, "Yeah, if you're gonna go practice, don't buy the cheap ammo, and then when you're gonna go hunting, you buy the better ammo to save some money." He goes, "You're not gonna hit because you gotta practice with what you're gonna hunt." And that got stuck in my head. And he goes, "You know what? It's true, because people used to buy like the cheaper, you know, I don't know. Back then it was $8 box of bullets, and then when they were gonna go hunting, they would go and buy the $15 box. And it doesn't work that way. You have to hunt with what you're gonna practice, because you already got that gun tuned to that bullet, to that powder, to that speed, to the drop, everything. So when you're going to aim and shoot, you know that bullet's going to hit when you're aiming, because it's the same one you've been practicing all this time. And there was a really good round truth to it. So when I go and start loading, I don't like to waste ammo because it's money. Every time you pull the trigger, I load exactly once I have the formula, because if I don't know how the gun's gonna how they're gonna shoot, I gotta find out. So I take a box of 50 with different loads, and I'll take a day or half a day to get that gun tuned. And when I found the bullet, the load that is working perfectly with that particular gun, that's the one I'm loading. So I started with the 308, the Ruger American, the Predator, and I started at 44, and then I did my increment, raising the powder levels until I got to the 46. When I got to the 46, that grouping went zoom, and it closed up. And I said, "Bingo, the gun likes the 46. Doesn't like the 44, doesn't like the 45, the 45 and a half, 45 and a quarter." But I was doing it by increments. And when I got to that 46, it was on the money. And I said, "Okay." So now I started loading for that particular bullet, which it cannot change. If you're gonna go hunting deer, you want to hit the deer at any distance, it's gotta be 150. I cannot do 145 130, 140, you know. So if you want to go pig hunting, you say, well, I want to knock them down in one shot, up to 200 or 180. That's what I usually, 165. I prefer the 165 for my lever. That's another thing. The lever gun is different. The lever gun works better with the 165 up to the 168. And that will knock down anything. It'll knock down deer, it'll knock down an elk if you're close enough, 200 to 300 yards. It'll knock down a pig on its right on its tracks if you know how to aim it too, because some people start aiming at the guts. No, I know a guy that he shot a pig across the hill with a 338, and the pig kept going, and he went like, "What?" He says, "Ray, the pig was running, and the guts were hanging out, and the pig kept running." And I said, "Well, why you shoot him on the guts? You got to shoot him in the shoulder or shoot him in the head, or so you hit him in the guts, he's going to keep going. He's going to die, but he's not going to die there. It's going to die down on down a ravine where you have to go dig him up, and it's going to be more work for you." So all the guns that I have their own formula, so they can all shoot well. So on the 270, the magic number, it's 140, and I have it tuned for 140. On the 7 mag, hang on a second. Being that I don't shoot the 7 mag that much, I don't remember. Let me see what I got on my notes. Okay, I got here. Yeah, boy. I got here 145 grain bolt tail bullet. Velocity is 3,070. That thing burns. And I also have another load of 68 grams of 7828 with 160 grain bullet, but I don't have the velocity. I got to look into that. Okay, I have another load here with a lesser powder. It's a 4350, 160 grain bullet, Spitzer flat base, which has a very good BC. It's 502. Velocity is 2750 to 28. So another thing is that you don't want to load a gun that is burning your barrel every time you pull the trigger. There's no need for that. Don't abuse the gun. But this load right here, it's a comfortable load, 2750 to 2800. It's not going to knock your shoulders out because you're pushing 160. Now, if I get the 160 weight bullet and I'm loading it up with and shooting the 3070 with this load here, 3070 pounds, it's going to knock your shoulder. But so you have to balance it out. Okay, I have here for 7 mag, 7828, which is I found out it's a very good powder for this particular caliber, 7 mag. 63.8 grains. So you're up there. But you're pushing 154. So it's a little higher than 140, a little higher than 150, but it doesn't get to the 160. And the velocity is 2850, which is comfortable. I have to go on my ballistics computer and see what this is going to do as far as drop at 500 yards. Okay, everything else I got here is 308. Yeah, I got my formula. Okay, here's a 308, 168. This is the pig. E-tip with Varget powder, which is a good powder. 46 grain, only 46 grain, and you're getting 2731. When you're shooting pig, being that the pig's got a tougher and thicker skin, and it's got heavy bones, and it's got this shield bone here, you need to have a bullet that will penetrate and give it a good punch. You probably could do it with a 150, but you're going to do a lot better with 168 or 165. A long time ago, I shot a deer with the 180. Man, it made a mess of things. I didn't like that. I got a load here for the 270 and 130, which I don't use anymore because of what happened with him. But the 130, it's an excellent bullet for the antelope, and it's shooting 29, 26 feet per second. I mean, I think it's a laser. I got another 270, 150 grain, 27, 27. So it drops over 260 feet per second because the bullet's a little heavier. So all these guns, they all have their particular bullet that they like. Because I seen guys that they say, oh, we're going to be shooting XP something, and we're going to be shooting Remington, we're going to be shooting Browning, we're going to be shooting Federal and Winchester, and they have this assortment of boxes. And I say, man, you're wasting a lot of money shooting all these boxes, and then the gun is getting heat up, and then you can't find really the bullet that really shoots well because now the gun is overheated because you got to go through all this stuff. That's not the way I do it. No. I take 50 rounds, and within that 50, I can find the spot. I can find the formula to make the gun work with the bullet and the powder that I'm giving it, because it'll perform according to the formula. If you overload it, it's not going to do well. If you underload it, it's not going to do well. You might hit something, but it's not hitting exactly where you want to be. Let's say you want to shoot a deer in the head. It's not going to hit him in the head because now the bullets it's a little wacky. It'll fly off to the side because it's not controlled. It's overloaded. And I don't have anything here from my 357, but last year I loaded some 357s, and I wanted to have a air backup gun. And I said, I'm going to load it hot, right? So I look at the book, and then I take it off from the top. Let's use some numbers. Let's say that the book says 45 grains. I go 41 or 42, or maybe 43. That's still hot. And I went and shot it. I couldn't hit anything. I could not hit anything. And I said, what do I want a gun that it's a cannon in my hands? It is boom, and then you're not hitting what you're aiming at. And the bear's, it's coming at you. You might be hitting on the side, in front, in the back. No, you want to be able to hit what you're aiming. So I had another load that I went down 5. And that was a little better. I'm not done with it because I didn't take enough. I just took 2 loads, 6 and 6. That's it. I didn't really fine tune it because I went for the rifle. The handgun was just like a side thing. I didn't really dedicate the day for that. I went for the rifle. And then when I have time, when I'm done with all these projects, I'm going to dedicate time for the 357. And then I have Yosemite Sam that I have a bunch of cases. My friend gave me. He liked my 45 long Colt so much that I've had for years. That's the one I used to carry, And he liked it. He went and bought one. And then he gave me a bunch of boxes that I still have them to load up for him. And I said, well, there's a little more to this. And I said, what do you mean? I said, you got to buy the powder, and you got to buy the primer, and you got to buy the bullet. You gave me the empty case. What am I going to do? Put everything else? It's kind of, And he gave me like 8 boxes or shit. No. So he hasn't given me anything. He gave me 6 of these things. And he goes, okay. And I said, okay, what? You got to buy the stuff. Don't just give me the empties. He needs to give me the powder and the primer and the bullets. And the bullets come in different. And he doesn't know much about loading. Instead of saying to me, okay, how much money do you need? I'll give you the money. And then I'll go buy the stuff. He didn't do that. And I'm not going to do it for free. Not because I want to charge. I don't want to do it out of my pocket. I'm not charging him for loading anything. But he needs to buy the materials. It's like I say, hey, I'm going to help you build your barbecue. help you build it. I'm not charging you like I did for a friend of mine. I made him a barbecue. You know, we made it out of wood frame. We made it, put the wire and put the stock one, put tile on top. It came up really nice. And then we inserted the stainless steel barbecue piece, and I didn't charge him. But he had the materials, you know, and whatever he didn't have, we went to the store and get it, but he paid for it. Same thing with this. So I gotta tune this one. This one shoots fairly well, even though I haven't really concentrated on a formula, but it shoots fairly well. But on the 357, I gotta get that down. I gotta tune that baby up because that one has more power than the 45 long Colt or the 45 ACP. It's a better bear backup. Hey, Hunter, if you're watching, the guy that wants to look at my 7 mag, why don't we talk about getting together on a hunt? Let's go to the same spot that I go, and if you want to do some backpacking, I got backpacks here that you can put on and go in there for 3 days if you're in shape to do that. I'm not exactly 100% shape, but I'm going to start doing some climbing. There's a bunch of hills and stuff that I can go to and start working on my legs. If you want to do that, because there's going to be a better chance of getting a deer and a better chance of bringing out the deer. 2 people can carry more gear, and between the two, we can split the weight. Like I can carry my tent and my air mattress and my my personal stuff, and you can carry everything else. You can carry everything else. The water's very heavy. You can carry your tent, and you can carry everything else. So no, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of people that do that. They go in a group, and I've seen guys groups of 6, groups of 4. When they do get a deer, they split it up and they haul it down. I've come up with different techniques. Like one is take one half of the deer, hook it to a pulley, throw a rope. You gotta take the pulley, you gotta take the rope. Hoist it up high so no bears get to it, and then go back to the truck, which is gonna be roughly 4 miles, maybe 5, depending how many fingers we go. Meaning that the mountain's like this. These are the fingers. So you go down, up, down, up, down, I usually go to the 3rd finger, but or sometimes the 2nd, but never been to the 4th. And I seen them. I seen deer out there, way up there. So then when you come back, you can bring it down. But then I started thinking about that system. That setup, it's a little dangerous because when you put the deer up in the air, you might not smell it, but the bear will. So by the time you come back, you might have a bear going up the tree trunk trying to reach it, or he sees the rope, because bears are not really dumb. They can put things together and say, hey, this rope is holding that, so you're going to start tearing out the rope to bring it down. And then you're going to have a fight on your hands because the bear's claiming the deer that you caught. And what are you going to do? You're going to kill the bear? So another way I was thinking to do it is, so you pack your meat, you pack half the deer into your pack. If the 2 people, it's even better because half a deer is still pretty heavy. You're looking at a deer that's, let's say, gutted. It's 140 pounds. You're gonna divide that deer. You're looking at 60, 70 pounds per side, gutted, and that's still heavy. So even though I take out the legs and I take out the elbows and the feet and all that, but if there's 2 people that cut a deer, they can divide the weight. So now you can take 35 and 35, or maybe 40 and 40. That's manageable. Go back and then to the truck, and then come back to the spot to get the deer. And the other way of doing it was, being that there's so many debris and needles and stuff, open up a nest on the ground. You wrap the deer in plastic, because I always take plastic bags, those little light white ones, put the meat in there. Once it's all scanned and there's nothing, or you can just debone it, put the meat only, put it down in that nest and cover it up, keeping that smell down away from the wind. And in the wind, if the wind is blowing, that smell is not going to travel because it's below ground level, and the bear is not going to get it, right? And then when you come back, you can get the rest of it. So those are different ways of doing it, because if you leave it above ground, the bear's going to see it and or smell it, and then he's going to go for it. So there was a guy that I know that I might see him up there if I go this year. He was hunting with a 338, very good gun, and he bumped into a bear that was munching on a calf in a gully. And when he came up to the edge and he looked down, he saw him, and then the bear looked up, saw him, immediately let go of the calf and went after him. He's protecting his kill. But the hill was kind of shelly, and he started slipping and sliding. So he went around. He really wanted to get at him. He went around, and then there was a ramp here, and he'd come up the ramp. Well, that gave the hunter enough time to bring the rifle down, crank in a bullet, and just basically at point blank range, he went boom. Deer landed right there in front of his feet. That's a little bit too close. And that is seeing the bear. Imagine if you're walking, the bear hears you, you come up to the edge and you see the dead animal, the dead calf, and you're about to turn, and the bear's already on you because he already took the time to quietly go around and come in behind you and attack you. That's why you need a handgun. You need a quick draw and boom, right there. So that's why I'm going to start working on the load when I'm done with the boat. So you got to think about all that stuff because it happened to him, and that happens a lot. That the bear startled the hunter. I was hunting one time, and I look at the ground, and there's this big paw print on the ground, and I'm going, "Whoa, the sucker's big." But I looked around, didn't see anything, and I kept hunting with the 270 with a 130 bullet that I'm not going to load anymore. I walked maybe 40, 50 yards, and then I hear, and this bear was pissed. He was knocking things and going through brush. I don't know if he smelled me, but he was pissed. And I said, shit, this bear's going to come at me. So, and I'm looking at my gun. I said, 130 grain. I don't know. And then there was a tree trunk on the ground. And I just lay right next to it and put my body odor down on the ground, low to the ground. And I was listening to him, and I kind of peeked over the edge of the log, looking over to see if he was coming or if I see any movement in the brush. And he kind of moved away, and I didn't have a sight gun. I said, shit. From then on, I started carrying the 45 Colt with me. So you have to be aware where you are and what's around you. Up in that area, there is a big sign that says you're entering bear country. I met this guy on the trail, and he didn't have nothing on him. No gun, no pack, not even a canteen of water. And I said, what are you doing here? He says, I just came out of the wilderness, and I left everything back there. I said, what do you mean everything? He says, yeah, I had to take off my pack because this bear was following me for miles, and he wouldn't veer off. He kept, every time I looked back, he'd coming, and I would jump the trail and try to go in a different way, and he's behind me, and he got scared, so he took off his backpack and dumped it on the trail, so it gave me enough time to get away because the bear was following him, and the bear found the pack and started tearing it up because they could smell food in there, and that kept him busy while he got away. And this guy had scratches everywhere because he was going through some rough areas. The wilderness back in the what they call it, the dome, that is some rough country. I never been back in there because I took a look. I went to the edge to go in and I took a look and I said, hell no. That is bad country back there. It's rocky, bouldery, thick, and there's bears. And the bears come out of there and they go into the hunting areas. There's a lot of bears in that area and they wander around and they're following the smells. They're hungry. They'll come into your camp like like this friend of mine that he was a four-wheeler. He used to go jeep with his jeep and his buddies, and they went into the Dulce Ursham and they camped up around 10,000 feet. He says in the middle of the night, they had a little fire going, just dying out already. And it was about 11:30 or so. And he sees a silhouette through the tent material. And it was a bear. The bear went into camp and he was sniffing, sniffing around and sticking his nose against the material. And my friend was scared shitless. He says, Ray, you think a 9mm will stop a bear? And I said, well, make sure you don't have a scope on it. He goes, why? Because it'll hurt less when he takes it away from you and shoves it up your rear. You're not going to shoot a bear with a 9mm. I mean, I've heard people doing it, but that's not my favorite caliber for that kind of problem. In those conditions, you need something with a little more woof in it, a little more hit. Unless you empty, if you had a Beretta 9, it'll hold 15 plus 1, and you empty it at a good distance, 50 feet or so. But if it's on top of you, I don't know, you need a little more kick, right? And the bear came to the camp. So that's why when I go backpacking, and I'm telling this to the hunter, that if I want to go, let me just say, you do not bring bacon, eggs, anything that smells good. You have to eat dehydrated food. I got a few bags in there. Yeah, it's nice to have a nice omelet in the morning with coffee or no, I don't do that because it's like ringing the dinner bell. Come and get it. And then they'll come in and let's say you leave the pan without washing it and leave it outside and they'll come and lick it off. And they'll like the taste of that grease and stuff. And they want to come, because they smell that bacon or that chorizo or whatever you're cooking. And not bad there. No, you have to eat basically odorless food. The only thing that I take that it has some aroma is the coffee. And I drink it quickly. So, but so when you go on a hunt with somebody else, like this guy I took one time that, I taught him how to clean the deer. He loved it. It's fun. I like it because you kind of teaching somebody that might have some experiences hunting, but not that type of hunting. That type of hunting, it's a different way of doing things. You just don't walk around and you think that you're going to be, popping out of the bushes in front of you. No, you got to work it. And that's the fun of it. You got to walk in the shadows. You do not stand in the sun. You do not sit in the open. Like I saw this kid, I was driving in to Monachi and there's an area, I call it the whoop-de-doos because the road does this, right? And I looked to the left and about, I don't know, 80 yards from the road, there's this kid sitting in plain sight on a rock with a rifle. And I just waved to him and I said, what is he doing? The deer's going to see him, right? And it so happens that right through the spot, that's a little trail that they take through there because I seen him. And I felt like rolling down the window and saying to the kid, hey, sit over there. You might have a better luck. But, I don't like to tell people their business. That's what he wanted to be at. Let him have his own experiences. You learn with your mistakes. And there's a lot of spots that you cannot just sit because the deer is not going to come through there. They'll see you from across the big meadow. They got very good eyesight and very good hearing. They turn around those big cuppy ears, and it's like a sonar. They can just pick up any noise. You can be out there going, you know, or opening up a bag of Cheetos and you're eating there, and they can hear all this stuff. I'm not exaggerating. Let me see. What I've heard is that they can hear 600 yards away, and they can see you half a mile away. They can see movement, they can see color, they can see. If you're sitting, let's say you're dressed in orange, and you by a tree or a tree trunk or whatever, and you don't move, you might get away with it. They'll probably come towards you if you're not moving. But if you're kind of shifting around, crossing your legs, and looking at the gun, doing things like that, they'll spot you. And that's why I like to go into the wilderness, because there's less people back in there. Better chances of seeing deer with their normal habits, right? They're munching and looking, you know. And I have a spot in mind that I was looking at it in Google Earth where I can sit and scope this area. I got this little mini spotting scope that I can sit there and kind of look around. But I measured it, and it's about 700 yards for a shot. And I said, well, the Magnum can probably hit it, but you got to practice shooting far. You got to go out to the desert, and you can shoot up to 800 yards with a Magnum. Just got to remember the drop and the whole thing. So, but this gun has a particular scope that you can. It has a rangefinder, and you can. I think it goes up to 600. I'm not sure if it goes up to 7. I got to look at it. But if you practice long shots, and the deer's there, you may want to see if you can move in a little closer, bring it within 500 yards, and then 500 yards for a 7 mag, piece of cake. And believe me, he'll drop when you hit it. This cigar is good. It's just that I won't be able to finish it because my feet are freezing. It's already turned off. I'm gonna cut it. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. The next one.